within. Every role is a place to begin. We like the way you step inside. At Epic Sages, your story collides. Every turn, every fight, every moment you claim. We give you the tools, you ignite the flame. We control the board, you control the action. Epic Sages, where legends find traction. Your story is yours, we fuel the flame. Step into the world and remember your name. From your first roll to battles well fought, we give you the gear for the stories you've sought. From online to in-store, we've got what you seek. Gear for your quest, world so unique. No matter the path, no matter the game, every hero rises, every story's your name. With passion and craft behind all that we do, we build the worlds, you bring them to truth. We like the way you shape the adventure. Every legend starts with a venture. We control the board, you control the action. Epic Sages, where legends find traction. Your story is yours, we fuel the flame. Step into the world and remember your name. Epic Sages, your home for adventure.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to tonight's episode 6-4, New Gen, getting your kids into tabletop role-playing games. I'm gonna apologize for the first 30 seconds of the video. I definitely recorded it and was going, and then I realized my new headphones were not connected to the setup for recording, so it was silent in here for the first 30 seconds, which is crazy. Uh, but we fixed that. We're pushing forward. Everyone's on the board. Sweet. So, hello. We only have one star guest tonight. So, this is going to be a poppin' episode. We're going to be talking, talking, talking. It's going to be great. Speaking of our fantastic star guest, I got to introduce her. Who are you? What do you do? Where can people find you? Those are the three basic starter questions.
Got it. My name is Julie Amy, and I am in Michigan. So we have a little bit of a time gap going on here. So who am I? Where am I? And what is it that I do? Is that was the last question?
And where can people find
My expertise is in early childhood. Where can people find me? People can find me for speaking about best day ever framework, about how to work with groups of people, groups of staff working together. My arena is women. But there are definitely dudes that mix up in our group, and they can find me for speaking events and coaching events for at julieamy.com. My business is also for Kids Sake Early Learning Center. I own childcare centers, so that is www.forkidssake.com. Those are where can you find me? So Julie Amy,
you? Perfect. And
Julie
just to
Amy,
get
yeah.
again a quick recap for what else you do, besides the child care, what was the other thing that you work on?
Yeah, some coaching, speaking. I mean, I'm definitely in some civic leadership roles in my community, and they're centered around childcare as an infrastructure. There are some political things that I'm involved in. I'm in my local downtown development authority. I'm working really hard in my local government, but also in a wider government. I had last week, actually, it's still this week, I had a state representative come to my childcare center to see how childcare is an infrastructure. We don't realize until, and I don't know how it is in Alaska, but if you don't have childcare, it's one of the spokes of infrastructure of communities that if you don't have it, people feel it that are trying to go to work and that have young children. So for me, that's something that I am doing a lot of advocacy around. Uh, Appointment next week with another state representative, and of course congressmen and other people in my world are hearing about me in advocacy for childcare as an infrastructure. Those are some of the things I do. I just now came, for us it's 10 o'clock at night, and I just came from a community event where my daughter was child care center created a whole entire streetscape of activities. For us, it's called Food Truck Friday, where we had 18 food trucks and a band in our downtown. And I am the whole entire kids' play space for that event. It's about 4,000 people, just
Nice.
for some perspective. So it's a super cool community event.
That sounds like
So
a
I'm
lot of
I'm
fun.
doing a lot of things.
It's summer. We got to gotta keep the
Yeah,
crazies off,
but it's
right?
all centered around. Yeah,
Fantastic. Okay.
it depends on who you ask. I might be considered one of the crazies.
Wonderful. All right. Well, we're going to dive right into it then. We're going to start with the question we always start with, and that is the when we say the title of tonight's episode, what's the first thing that comes to mind? So when we say new gen, what is the first thing that pops into your head?
Oh my gosh, new gen to me means this new generation, right? I am a mom of six kids. My oldest is 32 and my youngest is 13. And then I have two stepsons that are in there as well. So there's really eight kids. So as you can imagine, there are a ton of different personalities in all of those humans. They're all fantastic and they're all individual. Some of them are crazy, working, very physical people, and some have the gamer bug about them. And of course, there's a 13-year-old girl who's a little dancy pants, and all she cares about is horses. But all of those kids with their different personalities are definitely a great sounding board for me when we're talking about next generation, because I have 20 years of different generational kind of references to go by.
Nice. Okay. Jared, what about you on your side of things?
Space, the final frontier. These
Ah,
are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise, its continuing
nerd.
mission to explore strange two worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before. Child of
I
the 80s, man, next generation.
I can appreciate that wholeheartedly.
Oh my
Um,
gosh. Yeah, you're
yeah, I mean, I'm in the same frame though. I'm gonna because of the shorthand with it, it definitely feels like a newer bit, right? Post 2010 style of talking. Because before then, it wasn't shortened, right? When you talked about the next generation, it's the whole word, right? But after 2010, they redid marketing and whatnot and changed it to new gen, right? So everything that is the next generation just cuts it down for whatever to new gen. And for some reason, that always reminds me of Jurassic Park because they had engine, right? So for engineering, whatever. And then when they made the new movies, I think they're called New Gen. I could be wrong, but if I remember, it's something silly like that, where it's not quite the same name, but it's close enough. Um, but anyway, that's where my head goes with it. Jumping into our next silly question for you, right? As we all kind of agree that's really what it is, right? It's a pretty on the nose title. Thinking about your future. Uh, let's start with Julie on this one. Julie, when you are introducing one of your new families to your childcare stuff, right? When you're doing hands-on stuff
yep.
in the office, all that fun things, what is the easiest way to get the kids integrated with other kids?
The easiest way to get them, I mean, activities, introducing them into activities with other kids doing things, right?
Mhm,
You're
mhm.
always going to be getting down on their level, and you're always going to be trying to engage them, find out what they're interested in, and asking them if they'd like to play. Anything that you're interested or excited about, they are going to be interested and excited about typically. But when I'm in the face of a new little person, sometimes they're a hard nut to crack. So in those cases, it's just a matter of making sure that I'm giving them something to play with and trying to find something that they find interesting.
So some pretty important keywords there, and I'll get back to that in a little bit. So that's good though, right? Something that they're interested and they can get excited about, right? Sweet.
Right.
Um, Follow-up question. What if you said sometimes they're a hard nut to crack, right? What if they don't, if you got one of those kids that just doesn't want to? They're there because they have said they're going to be there or their parents are forcing them to be there because, they gotta work, right? We talked about the need for infrastructure. what is a gentle way to win them into one of those things that they want to do, right? If they're being dragging their feet super hard.
Yeah, I think it's all about relationship building. I think those are the, I don't want to say, I hesitate to say manipulation, but people that are really good at early childhood and people who are really good teachers know exactly how to develop that relationship and become connected to that child, find out what they like, find out what their dog's name is, find out if grandma comes to their house and know who those players are in their house and in their world so that you can connect with them on their level and on their terms. And in that arena, you also have to be very cognizant of their personalities. Some kids' temperaments are really straightforward and they're really outgoing, and some kids' temperaments are really quiet and shy, and you almost have to try to convince them to come and engage in things that you're doing. So I think when they are dragging their feet, it's really important to make sure that we are continuing to try to develop that connection and that relationship because they don't know that they can know, like, and trust you until they do. So whatever
Okay.
it takes for an adult to meet them where they are.
Okay, fantastic. Um, and then we're circle back to that one because is another very important key of we're going in tonight's conversation. As a side note, you might want to kill your camera and turn it back on. You are pixelating super duper hard. Jared, while she's fixing her
Okay.
camera, I'm more of the adult side in the TTRPG space. What have you found to be a good success for getting adults that aren't necessarily gung ho to play, but have at least agreed to try it out? What is your way to get them hooked into your games?
Well, the best way to do that I found, and this is regardless of age, it might have changed shift your approach a little bit depending on what the age is, but you have to engage with what that potential player is interested in. So there's a reason they're there at the table, and yeah, sometimes it's just because they're there, like a friend or somebody was there, and they've offered to make a token effort. So you engage with what their interest and motivation is. And yeah, every now and again you get that player. He's like, I'm just here because this is where my friends are at. You can help them engage with it by being like, okay, well, here's a role you can fill in the game where if you want to mostly just be like an observer and then put in your 2 cents, and then slowly you can kind of eke them into interest as long as you like give them a comfortable space to exist in. And then as far as anyone else, it's like, yeah, it's on a case by case basis. You find out what engages people. Some people are more into like the storytelling aspect of like D&D, so you make sure you engage with their idea for a story and gently guide them, because I've had people who be like, well, I want this person to be like a half elf, half cat person who's like the secret, lost heir to this weird forest kingdom. And like, you have to cater it to exist in the setting where we're all playing in. You can't just make up whole kingdoms, unfortunately. But I like the energy. But anyway, but yeah, so you get people who get super engaged with the story. You get people who like the mechanical aspects of the game who are like, well, I like building characters. I like crunching the numbers and all that. It's like, all right, well, that's easy for me because here's the book. When you have a question, just ask.
Read.
Usually those people already have the wheels clicking and they know that they can just look into the book and be like, hey, I understand this. Okay, what does this mean? That. Ooh, I can make this do that. They're like the mind palace players who just sit there and like, I will connect all these dots. So it's just a matter of finding what approach the player has and what motivates them to be at your table, and then just engaging with it.
Okay,
And that's
fantastic.
kind of a
So
universal philosophy.
yeah, I mean, pretty much, right? As we know from TTRPGs, they can really be applied to basically anyone at any age. But one thing you guys both touched on really hard was getting into your players' likes and interests, right? When you're dealing with small children, when you're dealing with adults, the easiest way to uh get someone on your side is to be on theirs first, right? Get them to be in a spot where they're comfortable in doing something that they're good at or they enjoy or are interested in, right? Because sometimes, as we know, some kids are really terrible at soccer, but man, do they love to kick a ball. You know what I mean? Same thing with the adults playing TTRPGs. Man, they can't roll to save their life, but they really enjoy it when they do get to heal people. And feel like they're helping. So what we can take away from both of those situations, right? With both getting uh, new kids to play games and just people in general to buy into what you're playing is add that bit of what they like to it, right? Even if you got to modify what you're doing a little bit, especially to start off, you're going to find way more success on both of those things, right? So kind of piggybacking off of that, right, is going into how do you coax the uh, resistant, as I will say, especially in a family setting, right? You're trying to get your kids to play with you, right? So as a mother, this will probably be more directed to your experience on that category than in the business side. But uh,
Yeah.
when you are trying to get your kiddo into something new that they are not necessarily super excited about, right? What is your easiest way to go about that, right? Let's say you like you know it's something they will want to do. They just got to get their feet wet and kind of get good at it first. How do you get them to start that process? Julie.
To shift a little
Oh,
bit,
there you are.
if I am showing an example, because, oh, yeah, am I here?
You are, yeah. I think you're just a tad delayed.
Are we good?
Maybe? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. If I could give an example that's some, if I can give an example that's something that you guys were with son at my house, who's 26, and he is the gamer, and my husband was genius in but he is a D&D guy, and my husband became the dungeon master and told him if he wanted to play, he needed to read the books in order to play. Now this guy didn't want to read. He didn't have any interest in reading until they started talking about D&D. So my husband's probably on WoW right now, and they, of course, that child plays a zillion other games, but that was a really cool trick that my husband did to a non-resistant kid who didn't want to read, and found something that he was super interested in, and then had him read the D&D books in order to know which character, how are you going to win? He's also very competitive. So he wanted to win. He wants the lore. He wants to make sure that all of those pieces that will help him go to um, do the things he's supposed to in order to beat his brother, that he knew. And so it was all about how he could be successful in the game. I thought that was a really tricky. Again, parents sometimes have to be manipulative, and that was a great manipulation to get him interested in reading.
Okay, yeah, I remember us talking about that from your interview. It's a fantastic
Yeah.
story. Um, Kind of another follow-up. Now, this one's a kind of will seem like a silly question, but how do you nurture the kids that already want to do the thing, right? What is your best way to focus on encouragement of the ones that are already doing the right thing, right? Or the ones that were resistant but are kind of finally coming around, right? And talking about having your son read the books finally and get into reading through the things. How did you continue to encourage stuff kind of on those paths?
Yeah. Uh, he and my 13-year-old daughter do challenges, which is really funny because they come up with them on their own. And some of the challenges are we're not going to eat chocolate for one whole week, and then they hold each other accountable. And sometimes it's been a reading challenge. There's also been a carb challenge where they weren't going to eat bread because my stepson has three food groups that he enjoys, and one is sugar, one is cheese, and one is cheese can be a food group, but
It can
obviously
guarantee it.
cheese is the only part of that food group, dairy and carbs. He's happy, life is good if those are his three things. So she encouraged him to do a bread free challenge for a week, and they also did an exercise 10 minutes of exercise per day challenge. So I think those are fun things that you can do with siblings. So it's really cool to hear him talking to people and encouraging those relationships, but also knowing that they are holding each other accountable is really kind of cool to allow and watch happen for them.
Yeah, that sounds pretty awesome. And again, it touches on some points I'll get to when I give my yammering and yammering. Jared, jumping over to questions for you really quick. So, again, when we're talking about the resistant player, right? Um, this is for the players that might not be confident in their ability to role play, right? They don't know how to do a silly voice, and everyone else at the table does, so they're kind of worried about that. Or they just don't know the rules, so they don't know like how they're feeling about playing, or they're just like there because best friend is there and their best friend talked them into it, and they're kind of just hanging out. What is your simple solution to make sure that they feel like they are going to enjoy future sessions later, especially if they're just like testing the waters?
As I said before, my philosophy is always to just kind of engage on a personal level because I find that broad solutions tend to kind of fail. But as far as those three examples you gave, for someone who's not confident about role playing, I say don't worry about doing a voice or anything. Your character's decisions are yours. You're making the decision. Just kind of put yourself in that character's head. You don't have to do the voice, but you can talk for them and just make the decisions as if they would do it. If it's a confidence with the rules thing, I'm like, that's fine. You don't need to know every rule off the top of your head because if you've seen these books, you don't need to know all of this off the top of your head. This is a reference. So at any point, and I'm one of those DMs that doesn't get upset if someone needs to look something up. And I know a lot of people have that as like a pet peeve, like, oh, they're slowing down the game to open the book. It's like I understand that frustration, but if you just let people look stuff up, they won't need to look it up as often. So because it'll just stick eventually. But and then as far as
Hopefully.
like hopefully. Sometimes it does. Some people have really bad memories. I'm one of them. But anyway, but the other thing is like that's okay. Just tell me generally what you want to do, and like let me see your character sheet. It's like I don't understand. Like I don't remember how to do this thing, and I'll look at their character sheet and be like, okay, so you're this. You're like a level 3 fighter, and you're using a sword. So with the sword, you could do this. You could attack this way, and because you're a fighter, you can drop this and have an extra attack and all this thing. I'll break it down to them as simple as I can and go, you can do that. I'm very good at explaining like the options available if like player is unsure about something. I've gotten very much into the habit of that. So as far as the rules go, it's like no, we're taking this journey together. I can help you through the rules part. That I don't even sweat. I don't even sweat that. As far as the last one of like the person just has very little motivation to be there, I that one's just more of an interpersonal thing just in general. It's like it's very little to do with the game. They're here because they're friends with somebody. They care about that friendship. So I most of the time I'm playing with people if I'm not doing it like professionally, I'm friends with the people also playing at the table. So I make an active effort to be a friend to that person as well because it's like if you're a friend of my friend, there must be a reason you two are friends, so we can be friends and I engage with them on that level. And that kind of help makes them feel at the very least more comfortable at the table and then maybe more comfortable with engaging with the game. So
Solid. Okay. And then to kind of follow up on that one, right? What do you do about the players that are just there? They're ready, they're pushing forward, they're excited, right? What about the ones that you're not necessarily worried about them sticking around, but how do you encourage them to keep them coming? Because some people get super excited about something, but if they aren't encouraged, they kind of drop it. How do you avoid
hmm.
that kind of situation?
Most of the time, it's private chats and gaming with your character's backstory, asking like, okay, what would your character feel about this kind of plot development? Like, I've got more than a few players. You know, the more of the few of the players I've talked to who are like super excited about their character stories. I will engage with them about their character stories. I will try to get excited with them about their character's story or the cool little thing they found that they want, and we'll talk about how to make it happen and still be fair to everyone. So yeah, I try to share in the excitement. That's how I keep the engaged players engaged. Is I engage with them.
Engaging with them. See, that's the right words, right? And that's a key point to getting the
Engage.
people. Yeah, right.
Bringing it back to
Man,
Star Trek, baby.
yeah, it's all night. There's gonna be new gen references. God damn it, Jim. Wrong
That's
generation, by
OG.
the way.
Damn it, Jim. I'm a
But
doctor, not a Frenchman.
but regardless, engaging with them and getting excited with them, right? We Julie talked about challenges, right? And the siblings doing stuff together. They are literally engaging with each other to push each other's excitement and motivation, right? And that is obviously a powerful buy-in. If you can get someone to be excited and engaged about your character, you're gonna care way more, right? It doesn't matter how old you are. If you're a 5-year-old playing for your first time, and your DM gives you a little goblin to run up on and swack a few times, and you end up getting that final blow, the excitement is going to be meh if you're like, all right, next player's turn, move on, right? Or if you give them the, oh, their head explodes, da da da, they fall to pieces, you want, right? Give them the big huzzah moment, especially for their first couple victories, and they will be engaged. They'll be there from there on out. They'll be ready to play whatever's going on. They're going to be focused and enjoying and have fun, right? So, as a GM DM suggestion for playing with new players, make victory exciting, right? Um, and make failure, as we jump into my next bit, make failure acceptable, right? Which is probably one of the hardest things to do as a storyteller, right? Because you want to have negative consequences feel like they're doing something. But it is also important to make sure that they are recoverable, right? Especially if you're playing as long as you're not playing Mork Bork, right? Mork Bork, they fail, they're having a bad day. Blades in the Dark, they fail, they're having a bad day, right? Uh, but in most systems, it's a continuous story. You want them to be able to push forward from failure, right? Failure shouldn't feel like the end of the road, unless it's like the end of the road, right? There's obviously narrative story bits where like this you've done goofed up enough, uh, and you got to feel the failure. But kind of jumping into that, Julie, how do you make uh the child area not failure proof but failure safe?
Well, I have to tell you guys, my this guy who I'm talking about, he's still flipping the sorry board. Just saying. So I don't know that he's willing to accept failure on any level, which is okay because my husband and I are both self-employed and entrepreneurial, and we also don't turn back. We go towards the storm. So we might have trained him a little bit into that, but making it failure safe, I think giving a lot of chances. We've got to get them coming back to the game. We've got to get them staying with the group. We've got to get them continuing to engage in activities that are going to allow them to get that practice, right? Because I had to have a conversation like this with my 13-year-old the other day about she wanted help with something, but she never can get any help. I said, well, how long? How long do you get help, or how long do you keep trying? You've got to keep trying, practice. Competence comes from confidence, or vice versa. The more and more time you do something, the more confident you get. And the confidence creates competence. So I think we have to keep getting them back to the game, right? We have to keep making whatever the game is, having them have a role that does allow them to be successful. Maybe they get to pick out who gets what color of dice, or people have their own color dice. I'm probably using that as a bad example. He created some in his 3D printer for me that are purple because purple's my favorite color. So I have dice, even though I don't play. But I think making sure that they get to come back, they're excited to come back because they're watching someone else win or because they have a success. Uh, Having them have a role that's important, setting things up would be a job. It's like to have a job also. So if they always have the job, that's going to, or at least for the first few times, that's going to be something that helps create successes for them that might not be winning the game, but that's an important role that everybody needs.
Gotcha. Okay. I was gonna say your 13-year-old sounds a lot like my 8-year-old, so I feel the pain there. Jumping over to Jared.
She's not flipping the sorry board.
Oh no 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 the needing help. Well, how often did you try?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Keep trying.
exactly.
I'm right here,
Yeah.
but you're gonna be
I'm
fine.
gonna, see, I'm gonna make her watch this episode later, and she'll be like, um, Jared, jumping over to you.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry.
No, no, you're good. You're good. Uh, same kind of question to you, right? How do you make your games not failure proof but failure safe? Especially, it
Oh,
might be a tad bit more difficult because in most of our scenarios, when people fail, it isn't necessarily their fault, right? They have dice that are rolling for them and causing havoc. So like, how do you make sure that your stuff feels
Well,
what's the word? Dangerous enough, we'll say.
um, I will admit that that is a challenge for me personally because, like I said, I get really invested in my character stories too. I'm one of those DMs that I don't see it as us versus me. I'm more like the field guide. Like I'm out there helping people have a good time. I'm like the Disneyland uh person dressed as a character helping you get to the ride. That's how I that's how I kind of do it type of thing. Rather than the adversarial of like, aha, I'm the evil overlord. These are the critters you got to fight. I mean, there's an aspect to that, obviously. It's just part of the job, but um, as far as making things failure safe, I try to. kind of set up the scenarios I write, and you can never plan for everything, but I try to make like, is there a way that they can fail and it not literally be the end of the world, unless like that is literally what's at stake, the end of the world if they fail. And at which point it's like, well, that's a real downer ending. But anyway, um,
Yeah.
mostly I humor actually. I tie failure to humor is fine. I find that's the kind of the best way to kind of get people to kind of accept it a little better as far as like the TTRPG stuff. Like you're playing in my Fallout game, and you've played with me I think one other game for that from that. And anytime something goes wrong, we all end up playing it up as a joke, especially when I fail, when my monsters fail.
I don't know. Sometimes when they fail, it's like, oh, thank goodness, we're all right. Everything's gonna be
Yeah,
okay.
a certain death claw comes to mind. Yeah, if that death claw hadn't failed, one of you would have been taken down. At least one of you would have been
I
taken
had
down.
a bad
But he
day.
failed his
Yeah.
role, and everyone's like, "Oh, good, kill it quickly."
Okay.
But yeah,
So,
yeah, just
go
humor and making sure that gauging the stakes appropriately depending on what's going on. Also, just trust your players to be adults. I mean, I realize there's the stereotype that TTRPG players are kind of all men and women, children who are just kind of immature and petulant. One, the game is their release. Let them have their if it's a safe, if it's a harmless tantrum, kind of let them have it because this is their stress release for the week. Let them have the moment. It's fine. And two, you can trust them to be mature adults about it. And it's like as long as they're having that healthy degree of like, it's a game. I'm engaged, but it's a game. Trust your players to be adults. Unless you're dealing with kids, then that's a whole separate ball of wax. Just let them be kids.
let them be kids. All right, cool. So making something failure proof, uh, we can all agree is a poor choice for growth, right? Because you can't succeed without the possibility of failure, right? You don't get better from your wins, you get better from your losses. Um, but on that note, being able to be able to fail and not be the end of the world is probably the best place to grow, right? It's do things dangerously safely is kind of the mantra for it, right? Man, there's like 4 billion mosquitoes attacking me right now. Like, I hate this time of year. Sorry, it just flew up my face over here. Anyway, uh, but with that, we all have to understand that if we don't learn how to accept failure in an appropriate place, right, in an appropriate time, when it does really matter, and we have to accept it or be able to push past it, we won't have any chances to do so, right? So having a little bit of safety net of practice somewhere else in the TTRPG setting, right? Or just, at the playground playing Foursquare or something silly, right? Those are easy moments for small children to get into things. Um, don't forget to add that even when you're playing with your young kids, right? Trust them to be adults. Funny to be said about, children, but sometimes you just gotta like don't 90% of the time if you don't freak out, they're not gonna freak out. Kind of like we just talked about being super excited about their wins. Don't be super dramatic about their losses, or if you are, like Jared said, make it funny, right? If you have their failure turned into humor, they're not gonna feel terrible about rolling twos or threes or whatever, right? Um, if you make a big deal about them always rolling bad rolls, they're going to build that subconscious silliness in the back of their brain that that's what they always roll and it's terrible. You know what I mean? So you got to be careful with that too. Um, so kind of jumping over. Jared, do you have any questions before I jump into another one?
The only comment I have is I feel you on the mosquito thing.
It's,
Thankfully, our mosquito spray people are coming this next week.
I swear, every time we open the door, that we let in like 10, and I go kill 20, and then there's still 30 in the room. Like,
They're just like dive, dive, dive. I
just
say
quiet.
I was playing Helldivers last week, and I was killing just as many bugs in real life as I was in the video game.
Gotta love springtime. All right. Um, Jared, if you think of a question, just let me know in between. So, but next silly question for you as we push forward here. Um, in we go into childcare, right? Because that's a this is actually a super important part when we're trying to find games, right? That can be a big issue, right? And why people would want to bring their kids to play with them is they can't find a sitter for the night, right? And then suddenly you're stuck with a 6-year-old or a 9-year-old or whatever, right? You got a small teenager with you. because your friends are like, no one's watching, grandma and grandpa are out of town. Can you make him a character really quick? How do you handle this? Um, what is your Juliet? This is more of a question for you. Um, what is your go-to childcare situation when your regular stuff has been canceled, right? If your usual thing is drop them off and run away, if that isn't an option, what is your kind of backup, or what kind of backup do you suggest for people that might need that?
Are you talking about like an evening or a situation where you have to take kids with you to somewhere?
Yeah.
Give me clarify for me.
Well,
Basically, if your sitter cancels on you.
yeah, let's do one of both, right? So just a regular in the evening, and your regular person doesn't show up, and or one of the times that you know you have to snag them with you, right? Like how do you keep them wrangled and interested in what they're doing for the evening, kind of thing, and your thoughts and opinions, but one than the other.
Yeah, yeah. If you have to take them with you, I have a team of my I have a team of my own and my children. So if I ever had to take someone with me, they already were kind of ready to be taken with because we all traveled together and I grocery shopped with them together and we all were a team and that's how we managed our life. If someone has only one child, you try to assimilate them into your life. If you are outnumbered, then you automatically turn your life into things that are as you know, Rick, because you have multiples. You then right, you then try to make sure that they are included. You're included in what they're doing instead of them including what you're doing. So my kids were really good at going with, but I need to set them up for success, right? I can't set them up for failure and expect them to sit there and be quiet unless I were to take with me something that was special that was only for that time. So I would say set up a shoebox that has toys that you can only play with when you're traveling, when you have to go somewhere that are their special toys that go with that activity. Maybe they have their own dice, maybe they have their own characters, maybe they have their own board that you've made at home that is characters that they recognize, that they're doing the same thing that you're doing but they're doing their own version of it because you've created it in advance so that they feel like they're participating on some level. So I would say make something to take with you that only can be used when you're on that trip. So it's really special and it's something that they're excited to be able to get into. And that way you'll buy yourself a little bit of time. I don't know how much time you're talking, but that would hold them over for a bit. Now, if you're in that place where it's a cancel and you don't have a support system for when you're going to be on your computer at home, I think the same thing could be used, right? And maybe you get out something that is even a more expansive version of that scenario, and you can be playing with it with them. So during other times when you are not distracted, so that when you are distracted, you could say, this is your game and this is my game. And if you move a piece now and then while you're that's a probably bad from a gamer's perspective. My husband doesn't want to be distracted at all, let alone moving a piece for them. But um, I would say just create their own game that is something that they're really excited to play that they can only play while you're playing. They always want to emulate, right? So whatever you're
Interesting.
doing, do the same thing, their version.
Okay, sweet. I think that's a really good idea for just in general. And I mean, I don't know if it'll keep them distracted for 3 to 4 hours like most TTRPGs
Yep.
take, but it'll work for at least a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, okay, cool. I actually really dig that idea. Jared, jumping over to you, right? When we're quote unquote babysitting, at the table, how do you involve extra littles? Right? Is that something you've had to experience yet? While
Oh
with
yeah.
your playing and all that fun stuff.
Oh yeah. So typically, all that really does is I shift my mentality over from playing like an adults only game to a more family game, and really that just adjusts like how much I curse and how much I use particular descriptors for action and whatnot. Um, but yeah, I just shift gears to a family game, and I do what I do in most situations when I'm dealing with kids with the parents nearby. I will defer to the parents to kind of let them be the funnel for whatever activity is going on because it is their kid. And I have
Hmm.
not been given responsibility for this tiny human. The responsibility is still to that parent. But I will engage through the parent because I assume the parent is there. Like if they're at my table, they're there to play. The parent knows how to play and they will, sit and try to engage with their kid. I will basically give the parents an assist on that and either teaching them how to play, getting them engaged to play, and or most of the time the kid already knows how to play. It's just helping them kind of refine the points. It's like, okay, you say you do this, but how do you do this? You need to tell me what it is you're doing. This is the situation. How are you doing it? And it makes the kid think there, and they're like, oh, okay, this. It's like, great, let's keep going. So yeah, depending on the attitude of the kid, like if the kid's just kind of there in the space but not at the table, I just adopt the thing I always do. We play with a lot of parents. I've played with a lot of parents over the years. So the other thing is like if the kid's not actively at the table or part of the activity is just give grace, give patience, because that kid's gonna need attention. So when the kid needs attention, let the parents do their thing. And if anyone at the table has an issue with that, just kind of look at the players going, family first. That is just a policy at my table. So um as far as like on this flip side of that, because it's something else we've dealt just touch on a little bit because we've dealt with it a little bit, especially in the live plays and stuff, is we tend to have a lot of parent players and sometimes childcare falls through and the player cannot be there that evening. Like it's like I won't name names because I don't want to embarrass anybody, but I've had players who are like, "Oh, I got to drop out of the game because I can't find the childcare, and I've already had to miss like 2 games. But I should just drop out of the game." And I just sit and go, "You don't have to drop out. Your character's in this position. They're fine to just sit there. We're not going to leave you behind. We don't want to. I don't want to make you feel like you're punished because you're trying to be a responsible parent. So your character will sit here just fine, and then when you come back, we'll catch you up and we'll have more fun. That's just how that works. We'll do the best we can. If it were like an extended period of time, like I can't see myself coming back at any point for the foreseeable future, then it'd be like, okay, I'm sorry it couldn't work out. But if it's more of just we keep having this issue with childcare, I'm trying to fix it. It's like, well, then I'll give you the space to try and fix it. I'm not gonna be a jerk and be like, well, get out of my game. So yeah, there. I'll
Be
set my
gone
table
with
back
you,
here.
Rebel Rebel.
Love that. Love
Yeah,
that.
no.
What a
So I
cool
mean,
place. What a cool thing to be a member of that group, right? Where you have someone who's trying to engage your kids and someone who's leaving space for you to be able to be a parent, someone who has that expectation that you feel like you suck at everything when you're trying to juggle things, right? So if you're half-assed at taking care of your child and you're half-assed at playing the game, you already are carrying that burden around with you going, gosh, I'm inconvenient to everyone. So what a nice space to be able to be whoever you are, wherever you are, and whatever you need to be while you're trying to still also have your own personality and your own interests and your own, commitment to the people who are your friends who you're working with. I love that. So kudos to you, Jared, for making a space that's really cool for people who are trying to do the juggle.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
so feeding into that for kind of my tack on to that. Uh, that should be a table standard, right? It is we'll say a green flag for DMing, right? If you give your older players time to take care of the kids, you can watch us play games all the time. I will have a baby on screen for 10 to 20 minutes of every session, almost guaranteed, if not longer. If I'm lucky,
Or
they're quiet and
or
cute in my arms and not being loud, or they're
or some
screaming their
days
heads off
mugging the
at the
camera with
kids.
a mouthful of peanut butter.
That one too, yeah, right. Look, if I can keep them dressed, life is good, right? Then we don't have to edit videos later because no baby
They don't need to
wings.
be.
They can put on the internet, man. That's forever. We don't
Oh
get
man,
need a
okay,
Nirvana
okay, okay.
Nirvana
Sorry.
kid situation.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Um,
I get that. I didn't mean totally naked. I was just talking like, you know, baby's happier without the clothes, but not all the clothes. Just all right. I get it.
respectable naked, not unrespectable naked. Right?
Right. Yeah. Clear.
That's why he has the
Uh,
sensor blackout throughout his whole thing. That
exactly.
it's
Yeah,
easy
you
for
guys can't
watching.
see anyone behind me. Life is good. You got breastfeeding wives and whatnot. You gotta be safe.
Yep.
So. But that being the thing, right? As a DM GM, it is your responsibility to give uh your players some grace, right? Jared used that term, but it's one of my favorites to use where you're dealing with your players pretty much on every level, but especially when it comes to kids, right? Because kids will make or break games in a positive way, right? If you give enough space for your players to let their kids either be involved, right, and try out the game, see if they like it or not. Because worst comes to worst, you let their kids that are old enough to play come play with you. You have a new player. Fantastic. Everyone loves new players. Or they try it for a couple times. They say, it's boring. I can't sit around for 4 hours, whatever, right? But they got to give it a shot, right? The parents get to spend time with them, all the other things. There's no negative bit to letting parents take care of the kids. Now, can it be annoying when you are trying to get things done and you have loud screaming children in the background? Yes, unfortunately. But I would politely remind you that the parents deal with that 24/7. So, it'd be like that. Secondarily, can they slow things down? Yes, but no more than having to look at the book for 5 minutes to look up a spell, right? You're going to spend the same amount of time dealing with a kid on your turn as you are, looking up something. So hopefully, if you are the parent side of things, the easy way to kind of manage that, I'm going to put quotations around it because you're managing it is possible but hard. Uh, is in between turns, right? When you are having your downtime, instead of goofing around on your phone or BSing with your buddy next to you, go take care of your kid for a minute, right? Make sure they're doing okay. If they have that super cool box thing you made for them, make sure they're still playing with the box thing and not trying to shove the metal bits into electrical panels and whatnot. No crispy five babies is the preferred
Right.
things. On that note, if you give them toys and things, make sure they're plastic. Uh, don't give them the old minis.
So
You know what I mean?
I have two quick hot takes just to add on to this discussion real quick.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hot take number one. I've actually had more frustration dealing with people's pets than their children. And I'm
Ah,
not trying to shame pet people, not at all. But I'm just saying, at least a tiny human will continue to develop, learn, and grow into a full fledged human. Dogs and cats don't care. They're going to continue doing the things that frustrate all the humans because they're pets. They don't care. So I actually have more frustration dealing with pets than I do with tiny humans.
hmm.
And again, that's not shaming pet people. That's just such a reality because you can't adapt an engaging strategy with a pet. The pet wants pets, the pet wants food, or it's upset that it's not getting attention. It's going to throw up in a corner somewhere. Because
Or
those have
worse.
been my experiences dealing with
Or
or
worse.
worse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Then the
Uh,
other thing that actually bother that like dealing with kids doesn't bother me for the most part. There's always individual cases where it's like, okay, well, this needs to be dealt with. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. The other thing that actually irritates me more than having to deal with a potentially challenging child situation is smokers. Because they always want to pause the game to go smoke. You're literally making everyone wait while you're indulging a habit that everyone would kind of wish you would stop doing.
See, you just gotta find a
Only if you
table of
like
other
to live.
smokers. They'll make just yeah. That'll you be like the cool old dudes in the basement and just smoke in the basement.
No, it's just like obviously it's different if like half your party are people who smoke and then it's like, well, they're all going to take a smoke break at the same time. That's just how it's going to go. And it's like, fine, we'll just plan for a smoke break. It's less frustrating then because like half of them are like, oh yeah, no, we're going to go do this. But if it's like one smoker in your group that's going to hold up the group because they got to go light up, that's just so irritating because you're stopping everything. And they're like, no, 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 just play without me. I'll leave the door open. You can just, I'll just like, it's,
I don't know what smokers are
it's
doing
not
now.
really addressing the core issue here.
Uh, do
But no,
remember,
that's there.
ladies
There's
and
my two
gents.
hot takes. Cigarettes and unruly pets are actually more challenging for me to deal with as a DM than any challenging child situation. I have more patience for children than I do cigarettes or unruly pets.
Interesting hot
I
takes.
don't
I
do
like them. Julie, you sounded like you were saying something. Didn't mean to cut you off there.
barking. I'm barking. I don't do oh, I've had too many children for any of my animals to make sounds. You wake that baby. No barking at grandma's house. My kids even don't love their dogs to bark. We have COVID. My adult children all got dogs during COVID because they didn't want kids yet, but they wanted to take care of something. So Even the dogs don't really do a whole lot of barking because we've established this. Oh, there's going to be a baby sleeping. Just don't bark. I mean, unless they're doing their job where they have to bark because there's an intruder. But outside of that, they really just don't bark just because they want to talk to you. You pet them
Oh,
enough that they don't.
my
Barking is
dog's
annoying.
loud
Also.
AF all the time. They're terrible.
Oh my God. Is it a beagle?
Nah, the Cocker Spaniel, an Australian Shepherd, and then a Boxer Mastiff mix.
Okay. Holy moly. There's a whole lot going on there. A lot of
Man.
I just
personality.
have the one tuxedo cat,
Okay.
and
Oh,
she's only loud when she wants food.
That's
So
easy
she's
to
the
take care of.
so, as we kind of are getting to the end here, Jared, did you come up with any questions?
hmm. hmm. I don't know. I feel like we're covering a lot of the things I would have asked questions about. Um, uh, I will come up with one though, real quick. It just bam, 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 bam. Okay, so here's one I've had to deal with as a dungeon master. Um, I'll ask, how do you feel about your kids, like, it's dealing with like kids getting into hobbies? How do you deal as a parent if your kid wants to engage in a hobby that you're not familiar with? Because I've dealt with this a few times. I will have a situation where it's like people know I run Dungeons and Dragons games, and a parent of a child will come to me like first it's actually usually the child's like, can I play? It's like, I if I don't know the child's parents, like, well, I need to meet your parents because that's just the responsible thing to do, unless I'm in like a public setting, like running one of my games at the library or anything like that. At that point, there's still a staggered level of like responsible adults to track. But if it's just like a kid's like, hey, you want to play D&D? It's like, well, I gotta talk to your parents. That's how that works. And yeah, so my question is, how do you handle the situation when like your kid is getting into a hobby that you don't have a lot of personal experience with, and how do you handle that? So that's the question I'm tossing out because that's what I want to know.
I actually, my husband is fantastic about that because I have a 19-year-old who is going through some of his 15, 16, 17-year-old stuff, and he wanted to learn how to play the electric guitar. He was teaching himself on YouTube. He totally cannot read music, but he can play. He can play. And we didn't have anyone musical in my house. So I would have been like, holy cow, I have 6 kids. They all need to do the same thing. Because if we're going to the soccer field once, everybody should just play soccer. Uh, Otherwise, I'm one person. I can't drive everyone. So it was really interesting to have someone in my world who would just say, okay, you want to play the guitar? Let's look up who our best local guitar teacher is, and we're going to do it, and we'll figure it out. And you're going to try it, and you're going to be there. And he ended up doing a rock band concert at a local bar with the group that he was starting to play with that teacher. That teacher put a rock band together, and he did this typically with the kids. By the end of their session, they were all going to play in public, and it was so cool. So the same thing happened with that same kid with football. He wanted to play football. Okay, he was 17 years old just starting to play football, but all right, you're playing football. uh Now he's a welder. I think it's that open mentality of, I don't know who you're going to be in the world, but you have to try every single thing in order to discern the difference between what do I want to do and what do I don't. Because I have a sister who's 18 years younger than me, and I swear my dad put her in everything. He doesn't like to run to play soccer. Like, no one's chasing me. I don't want to play soccer. I don't want to play basketball. I don't like to run that much. So I think when a parent comes to you and says, I need to know more about it. I need to educate myself about that, whatever the interest is. But ultimately, I really needed that push from my husband to say, okay, we're checking it out. We're going to try it. And if you like it, great. And if you don't, that's okay too, because how do we know unless we try all of the things? There's no way to know what we're going to be especially good at. Having 6 kids is a great way for me to know that they are all so incredibly different. so different. Their temperament, their personality, but also their strengths and weaknesses. And those things all have to be taken into consideration. So when you have a kid come, if they want to try it out, I would totally encourage the parents to come and sit with you and encourage the parents to come and watch on their own first so that they can get a feel for who are you as a human? Are you responsible enough to introduce something like this to my child? And what do the people feel like? And how does this go? And what's my responsibility? How do I support you? Do I have to do something? Do I bring snacks? I don't know. I have no idea. So I think making a framework of what's my responsibility and them being involved in this and laying that groundwork to educate the parents first is probably going to be the smoothest path into getting a window open for that child whose parents are like, I don't know. I don't know about this. I think you have to really educate the parents about what their responsibility is.
I do have to make a note.
Fantastic.
You will be every GM DM's best friend is as a parent you bring snacks. That like if you don't
Or
want to play, bring snacks. You're gonna be favorite parent number uno guaranteed.
that your child will be the favorite player at the table if they bring snacks. It's just a fact of life, and I love how you put that. Yeah. So yeah, no, that's basically what I try to do. If a parent comes to like I said, child comes first. Like, gotta talk to your folks because make sure this is something they're cool with. Because I've had grown ass people who had to quit my games because they had parents like funding aspects of their life. And the parent didn't approve of that activity. They're like, if you keep going and play that devil game, then I'm gonna cut you off. And so they had to stop playing. So it's like if it's any kind of situation where there is a stewardship situation over an individual, I talk with the stewards and make sure things are okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's respectful for any children getting involved in any activity, right? You want to know who are the coaches, what are they, I want to see how they treat the kids. I want to see if they're organized. I can't let her be involved in volleyball if it's supposed to be practice on Tuesday, Thursday, and then all of a sudden this week it's Wednesday, Friday, and the next week it's not, like, no, I can't schedule my life that way. I need to know exactly what it is, that the person is organized, that there's a good level of communication, and I know how I can be responsible in supporting what's my commitment level in order to have them participate.
Right. Now that the biggest thing that helps me with getting along with parents is like they look up like how much the books cost. Like these books are like $50 a piece. It's like I can loan them my books. It's okay. They can use my books. And I know plenty of resources where the books are basically just kind of nice to have rather than being a requirement. It'll be okay. Um, Rook, tossing the question
That's
over to you. How do you how do you handle the situation like I was describing? Say you have a kid who wants to play, or leading up to it, a parent with a concern about their kid getting into the hobby, and then answering the inverse. How do you feel about your kids engaging in hobbies that you have no interest in?
Gotcha. Yeah. So, I mean, on the first bit, just like you, when we have kids approach us at the booth and whatnot, if I don't know who they are, I've never seen them before, yada, yada, and they ask if they can play, hey, you got to have your parents sign up, right? They got to come here and sign in, whatever, right? They got to be able to put eyes on who you belong to. Um, and then with that, if we get a parent that's asking questions, even if you're not necessarily an expert on it, giving people your most honest answers is going to be an easy way to get them involved, right? Because when someone's only touching stone is Stranger Things or whatever, right? They only have one point of reference. They heard about this. You use the term "this devil game," in the
Or,
in the '90s.
Vox Machina, which is not a family friendly program, as entertaining as it is.
Fair, right? Yeah, exactly. If that's our only touch point, and being able to answer, like, not everything is like that. This is the actual expectation of what you should assume is going to happen. Yada yada yada. As for my own kids getting into things I don't know much about, um, so far, the only one that's really gotten to that stage is my oldest. And soccer is a great example. I have very, very basic level understanding of soccer, right? She's 8 and she's probably about her understanding of soccer is about the same as mine now, and she's been playing for a few years. But getting involved, right, as a parent, if you put yourself in their place to learn at the same time, it is a wonderful growing experience that you can tag and connect on with your kids, right? Uh, and it allows you to support them in the long run, right? If it's something that they do love and they just take off and flourish with it, you'll be like, hey, I can help. I have ideas, right? I at least know where to look to point you in the right direction. Because at some point, you know, what I mean, especially as they get older, that's the best you're going to get to do sometimes, right? We are all of us get too old to know everything. Um, but if we keep pushing things in the right direction or figure out how to point them in the way to figure things out, they're going to fly, sail, move on their own as necessary, right? Again, if you create a space that is failure safe but not failure proof, they're going to do well.
Of course,
And
then the
now to
challenge. Sorry, I'm just gonna make a comment here. Then the challenge becomes like trying to help engage with them. Then you have to be careful not to become the cringe parent that's overly excited about their hobby.
yes, yeah, don't look through your kids too much. A little bit's fine, but not too much. Okay, well, we are past the hour mark, so we're going to do a quick wrap up and then do music and all that fun stuff. So, jumping to Julie, please tell us who you are, what you do, and where people can find you one more time.
My name is Julie Amy. I am in Southeast Michigan, and find me at julieamy.com or For Kids Sake Early Learning Center, www.forkidssake.com.
Fantastic. All right, Jared, what's the code for the month?
Yes, it is Daddy 907.
It is Daddy 907 because Father's Day, not this weekend, but next weekend, next
Yep,
Sunday, right?
I believe so.
Exciting.
I could be mistaken.
Yes. Speaking of next weekend, not this weekend, we have the Midnight Sun Festival coming up on the 20th. So not this Saturday, but next Saturday, we'll be downtown having our own little cool event. Like Julie was talking about at the beginning, we have our big event during this time of year where we're up all day, up all night. So go come find us wherever they have us hidden uh, downtown, probably on First Avenue, like we've had the last couple of years, is going to be my guess.
I plan to
But
show
we
up in my
could.
Ghostbusters cosplay. Cosplay.
y- You're crazy. It's going to be so hot. Ugh,
I will.
hopefully
I will.
cool.
I will dress accordingly. They're actually work coveralls, so they breathe quite nicely. Actually, if I can get this thing to work, there we go.
Um,
I'll be collecting tips in my ghost trap.
Ah,
well, we might even have a pole for him to dance around. We'll see.
What's wrong with you?
Um,
make
everything,
some
but
video,
that's a
Make
side
a video.
side story. Make a video.
Snapchat.
Exactly,
I made
exactly.
the front page of the paper last time. I don't want to make the front page of the paper for the wrong reasons, Rook.
Yeah, you have to be careful
Where's the
about those
fun in
neighbors,
that?
right? Be
Okay,
careful.
but to finish wrapping up on our side of things, we do have new stuff coming in, so keep an eye out for that. Um, brain fart here. That's our next big event is the Midnight Sun Festival. We have anything going on next week besides Monday is Blades in the Dark, Wednesday is Fallout. Um,
Paint
yeah.
weekend.
Well, that's not next week. That's the following afterwards. So, not next week,
Yeah.
but the week after
I'm just
next.
saying. Just don't
Uh,
forget to mention it.
on the 24th, we will be doing our Paint Night. So, as a side note, if you're a local Yahoo in Fairbanks, make sure you swing by and snag you a squawk so you can come paint with us at Paint Night or miniatures or whatever you want to paint. We're not judging. Just come hang out with us. Um, do you have anything fun on your channel that you're working on this week besides the regular stuffs?
Um, Stuff's pretty light over on Couch Quest Gaming right now. I'm just playing through Stardew because unfortunately Veerling had to drop out of our Baldur's Gate 3 game because they changed his work schedule, which is sad, but it happens. So rather than continue without him, I'm just shelved that series for now, and I'm just chilling with some Stardew for the foreseeable future until I decide what to do next.
Fantastic. All right. Well, one last thing from our wonderful star guest. I need you to pick a number between 1 and 10.
5.
Number 5. Sorry, I gotta find it now. Oh, okay. This one's kind of sad, but we'll go with it. Anyway, with Adventure in Mind, have a wonderful time. Bye.
thinking I should have more to give, more hours, more answers, more air to breathe. I count the spaces where I fall short and hope you never notice the seams. I measure days and things I miss, bedtime stories cut in half. I spend my patience way too fast and hate myself for wanting it back. I swear I'm trying, I swear it's true, but the world keeps asking for more than I can do. You are all my time, and even when I'm not there, you are all my time. In the way you stare, I hope you know I'm doing the best I can. You are all my time, even when it slips through my hands. I never learned how to be enough, just how to work and how to cope. I trade my fears for quiet nights and call exhaustion hope. I wish I had more to lay at your feet than secondhand dreams and shaky belief. You are all my time, in every choice you make. You are all my time, in every risk you take. I see you learning how to stand, I see you reaching for the light. You are all my time, and you are getting it right. Maybe love was never meant to be perfect, maybe it just had to stay. Maybe showing up broken still counts if you don't turn away. I watch you choose the kind of road where I once chose the fast. You carry questions I never asked, and somehow leave the worst behind you in the past. And every day you prove me wrong about the kind of world we're standing on. You are all my time, more than I could be. You are all my time. Turn the scars into something clean. I see the light you're setting